Trying to get back in the swing of things. And shot a lot of arrows tonight. Not so much, not really scoring. I'm just trying to kind of get back in the flow of things. So get that release rolling smooth. Keep that alignment good. I've been noticing lately that when I draw for some reason, my pin is like way right of the target, and then I'm having to like drift back over. So I think I might actually close my stance up a little bit. I've always shot fairly open, so I'm gonna just close it up a little bit. I actually got some tape on the floor here that I can really, play around with that. Because when I get back, if I'm too open, my bow's gonna start too far right, or if I close up a little bit, I think it might help. So a little bit more closed. There we go. Shot felt good. I almost feel like I need to lengthen my draw a little bit. I noticed, even though, so my cams had stretched, or my cables had stretched a little bit, but they stretched evenly, so my timing was still on, but I just checked and it was actually only making like 56.5 pounds, and it's supposed to be a 60-pound bow. So I just put like 4.5 turns in each one of my cables to get it up to, now it's making like 60.5. Definitely noticed that in the holding weight a little bit. Felt pretty good. I'm feeling it, and maybe it's just because I haven't shot in a while, but I'm feeling it like right in here a little bit, which generally tells me that this is a little too high and I need to get it, just another 1/8 inch longer or so to kind of get that back. I might take a couple twists out of my string and see what that does. So on that point of draw length, lots of times when people take a break, like when I coach people and we're having, like bi-weekly lessons, so we're meeting 2-3 times a week, and then, life happens, they don't shoot for 2 weeks till we meet the next time. Usually people will say that their draw length feels too long. And I think some of that is just because, when you're shooting more, your muscles get, kind of elongated and conditioned, and everything is nice and stretched out. And then after if you don't stretch every day, you get kind of tighter and things don't settle in as well here, so people feel like they're really stretched out. And what usually ends up happening is I'll tell them, just wait a little while, shoot for 2 or 3 days and then tell me if it still feels too long. And usually after, like a few hundred arrows over the next couple days, everything feels normal again. So if you shorten it up when they say it feels too long after not shooting for a while, lots of times 5 days later we're lengthening it right back out to where they were. So just keep that in mind. If you are kind of an inconsistent shooter or you don't shoot on a regular basis, your draw length might feel a little long or a little short every time you pick it up. Back here a little bit. For me, and I just replaced the D-loop on this, and I got it as close as I could to the other one. It's a little bit different material, and I never understand it. Like, I measure everything out when I put new strings on, all that, and it never feels the exact same. So maybe it is just like a 32nd of an inch, here or there or something. But right now it just feels like when I get, in order to get into my string, I'm having to just ever so slightly come forward. But again, I'm not gonna change anything. This is really like only my second day shooting a bunch of arrows. So if I still feel that same way in a few days, I'll make the change. Ooh, that clicked soon. Those felt pretty good. Let's go check them out. So really what I'm working on tonight is just getting back in the flow of kind of the rhythm of the shot, basically. I'm gonna show you the target here. It's only 20 yards. This is nothing special. It's really not even that tight of a group, to be honest. You can see there, I had one a little bit high here. The others, you know, I probably need to bump that sight a little bit, but not bad. Like I said, not my tightest, not my loosest group ever. But right now I'm focusing more on the how than the what, meaning how the shot is fired, how everything feels versus, you know, exactly where everything's hitting. Obviously, I want them to hit what I'm aiming at, but I'm seeing a little more pin float than usual just because I haven't been shooting much. And so yeah, sometimes that's my first couple days when I haven't shot in a couple weeks, at least seriously shot, not just like 10 arrows after work, but you know, put in a couple rounds. I usually like to just kind of work on the execution and then go from there. So set this beast back up, shoot a few more. Lots of times people ask me, like, what's the key to aiming better? And usually I just say, don't move as much. But honestly, more than stabilization, I think it's alignment, and really what determines your alignment is gonna be your draw length. And I'm not moving my draw length like a ½ inch. I'm doing a couple twists in or out of my main string, and just doing like 3 twists is usually about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch. So I'm just making very minor differences. You're not really gonna see it. You know, somebody watching isn't gonna notice it, but you're gonna feel the difference. So putting twists into your main string will decrease your draw length. Out of your main string will lengthen it a little bit. Shot felt pretty good. You know, when you shoot thousands of arrows at one draw length and then you make just a tiny little difference, it feels like a mile. So between, it may not be draw length, maybe just play with your loop length a little bit. You know, if you like where your face is coming on the string, but you feel like this hand is just too far forward on your face and it's kind of scrunching you up here, just lengthen that D loop 1/4 of an inch, or, you know, 3/16 or 3/8 or whatever you want to do, and play around with that. It's wild how a minor difference like that, you know, you wouldn't think an 1/8 of an inch anywhere would make a difference, but it can totally change the dynamic of the aim of your bow. See, that one was holding really well. I'm not gonna say it was a sketchy release, but it was not a perfectly clean break. Like I definitely told that one to go. I wouldn't say I punched it or forced it, but that wasn't it still hit the middle, but again, this is 20 yards, so you can pretty much get away with murder at 20 yards. Yeah. So for me right now, my pin is kind of doing this a little bit, like staying within probably one side of the 10 to the other, but just in the lower half of it. And that's just me getting weak. You know, sometimes I pull a little too hard, so then I try to counteract it by pushing a little harder, and so it just kind of pulls it around. So again, what I'm working on here is kind of tightening that knot, meaning I'm getting an even push pull. So if my arrow was a rope at full draw, I'd have an even push pull so that knot would cinch right in the middle of the rope. And you know, I actually explained that in my my hinge video. Just good brace on the front end, load that back. Build that pressure till it fires. You know, I can't actually expand anymore. Compound bows have draw stops, but I can build that pressure. You know, if I get a good front arm, if I get that shoulder in position, as I pull against it, it's going to essentially, you know, for every action, there's a reaction. It's essentially gonna build that pressure forward by me pulling against it, but I actually do think about kind of driving that pin. You know, when I load my back half, I think about driving that pin right through that X, and I think about that until I hear the arrow hit the target, basically. So it just keeps that bow arm driving straight forward. Go check those out. I think I got a couple a little bit left where I wanted, but all right. Still loving this Ultra View hinge, by the way, if any of you are looking. Yeah, see, I had one really bad one there that I dropped. So, see how my group's kind of moving around a little bit? So last time it was all here, this time it's up here. Some of that is I think I'm just getting tired. So, probably only gonna shoot a few more arrows here and call it quits. When you're practicing, fatigue is a good thing because you won't get stronger without getting tired while you're shooting. You don't want to take it to the point where everything is just shaken and you feel like, you know, you just got out of the gym or something, because once fatigue gets past a certain spot, your form just starts to break down. And if you're working on building correct muscle memory and stuff, you're just shooting yourself in the foot by shooting when you're absolutely gassed, because you're just gonna, you know, fatigue just breeds bad habits basically. So you want to shoot to the point of, you know, you're feeling it. You can tell you've been shooting for a while. Maybe your shoulder's a little tired or your back's a little tired, but don't shoot another 100 arrows past that. Just call it good for the day. So anyway, kind of one of those random thoughts with Kellen videos. Probably don't really care about anything I have to say, but whatever. That's what YouTube's for, right? So, all right, guys, keep them in the middle. I'll see you on the range.